Welcome back to another episode of Sports News. I am your host, Kyle Alexander, and right now we're about to go into a live look of Joe Flacco's press conference. All right, here we go. Yeah, you know, Baltimore has always been a good city, and these fans have been behind my back. And I know this team would never trade me. Like, this team, I've given them 11 years. I brought them a Super Bowl, and Joe. What? I got traded? Where? Denver? Okay. Well, forget you, Baltimore. Yeah. I'm with Denver now. Denver. I can't wait for the start. I got Von Miller instead of that old Terrell Suggs. And yeah, I have a better team, better receiver. Yeah, better coach, everything. I don't know. I was feeling a little goofy, but as you can see, breaking news: the Ravens have traded former Super Bowl MVP quarterback Joe Flacco to the Denver Broncos for a 4th-round pick. Now, the trade is not official yet, but it will be official after when the new season starts on March 13th. And he's giving them 11 seasons. And me personally, as a Ravens fan, this is one of those things that it's like you wanted it to happen, but now that it's here, it's kind of sad. Like, it's just like, wow, because like he's giving this team his best. You could say, and people say he sucked, but really, I wouldn't say he sucked. He fell off after the Super Bowl, but I mean, you gotta think after they gave him all that money, and then the receivers that we're dealing with, because we lost Torrey Smith, or they got rid of Torrey Smith. Anquan Bolden want to take a pay cut. It was just tragic, but honestly, I hope Flacco can have some kind of success in Denver, as long as it doesn't involve the Broncos and Ravens competing for a playoff spot. But other than that, yeah, and also now with that trade, the Broncos are looking to shop Case Keenum. I could see Miami, Washington, Jacksonville. I could see a couple teams. I fix my camera, but I could see a couple teams looking for a new quarterback. All right, now we're going. Some NBA news. Point guard Isaiah Thomas is making his Nuggets debut tonight versus the Kings. He had a hip injury for 11 months, and he's back. Ooh, I can't wait for this. Isaiah Thomas, I liked him in Boston. He was a pretty good point guard. I mean, after being backstabbed by the Celtics, I might make that episode NBA and loyalty, but I mean, that's for something else. But Isaiah Thomas, he got backstabbed by the Celtics. He gave that team his all. He played his prime with the Celtics, and not even that, but he played in a playoff game just after his sister died. And he still helped them. He still helped lead them further in the playoffs. And y'all just trade him for a better point guard. In fact, not just any better point guard. A point guard who was actually taken first overall in that draft when Isaiah Thomas was taken last. And he has yet to find a consistent home. But now he was in Denver for a year. He signed a 1-year deal, and I'm kind of excited. So I hope Isaiah Thomas drops. I say 20. I hope he drops 20, but. I'm a fan. I'm an Isaiah Thomas fan. Some more basketball news. Prospect Anthony Edwards. I didn't know what were these, but prospect Anthony Edwards commits to Georgia, ranked 5th in ESPN Top 100. And he's the top shooting guard in that draft. Now, and they say could possibly be the first overall pick in the 2020 class. Now, I didn't know who this guy was. I looked up some highlights, or found out he was a shooting guard. I looked up some highlights. That boy can ball. He got some pretty good handles. He can cut to the basket and throw it down. But he can also shoot he got some range, and he got some pretty good defense. And that's why my NBA comparison for him was Jimmy Butler. Both shooting guards who are pretty good, who are great defenders, and can shoot the ball, but can also cut to the basket and finish. Next up, Kareem Hunt. Now, I'm glad he got a second chance. I said in one of my previous videos, I hope he gets a second chance. In my last video, actually, the one about Porzingis getting traded, I said I hope Kareem Hunt gets a second chance. Just wish that second chance wasn't with the Browns. Yes, Kareem Hunt has signed a one-year deal with the Cleveland Browns. Now, at first, I was like, why would they do this when they have Nick Chubb? But I mean, like, hey, you can do a committee. Some teams do committees, but not even that. The Browns said that they believe he deserves a second chance, and I do too. I just wish it would have been with the Eagles. Like, honestly, I think him and the Eagles would have been a good fit, but I just wish it wasn't with the Browns, so that way my Ravens don't have to play him twice a year. But yeah, I'm glad he gets it. All right, this is beyond football. I'm glad he gets a second chance. Next up, all right, two-way athlete Kyler Murray chooses football over baseball. So he is fully committed to the NFL and declaring for the draft. Now, I like Kyler Murray, and I was like, I hope he like goes full football. Like, I hope he commits to football, and he does. So that's why I am glad, and I could see some teams landing him. But that will be one of my next episodes, my mock draft, my post Super Bowl mock draft, and yeah, I will do that after another video. But yeah, and then also Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury said he's sticking with Rosen, and his quote was that he said this to ESPN: "Our feelings toward Josh haven't waned or changed or anything." Kingsbury said, "I get we have the first pick, and so there's going to be a million scenarios over the next 3 months that are going to come up, but no, Josh is our guy." And I'm not even gonna lie, I saw something on Google saying like how maybe the Patriots could get Rosen if they were to trade him and then get Kyler Murray. And I was like, that would be smart for Belichick. Like if he traded for Rosen, gave him like some years under Brady, then Brady's gone, Rosen steps up to the plate, maybe he could keep that dynasty going. But no, the Cardinals said Rosen is our guy, and I'm glad because I don't think Rosen deserved to be traded because he didn't have the best rookie year, but I mean, his team wasn't that great either, considering they have the first overall pick. But yeah, that's my take on it. Now, we will get to the main point of the episode. Julian Edelman, 1 Super Bowl MVP. And now, after that performance, everybody's asking one simple question, or not simple, but one big question: is Julian Edelman a Hall of Famer? Now, when I first heard about this, in my mind, I was like, oh no, definitely not. This man, ain't no way this man is a Hall of Famer. But then I started to think about it, and I looked into it, and this is what I found. His career stats: Edelman has 499 receptions, 5,390 yards, 30 touchdowns, a consistent catching percentage with average 62.9% catch percentage, which is like over his career. It's pretty consistent because when I looked it up, like it said year by year, and they were mostly like 60s. I only saw like 150 and one in the 40s. So yeah, pretty consistent. And then he was also quite the returner, as he has 1,986 punt return yards and 4 punt return touchdowns. So I was like, all right, these aren't the best stats. These aren't like, oh yeah, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. These are more like, no, he looks like an average Joe. But then you look at the postseason. His postseason dominates everything. So in postseason, 115 catches, 1,412 receiving yards, and 5 receiving touchdowns. Okay, maybe just the yards, but yeah, and 78.4 yards per playoff game, and his 1,412 yards is actually second in all-time post receiving yards, behind arguably the greatest receiver of all time, Jerry Rice. I think Randy Moss is better. I just like Randy Moss, but Jerry Rice is definitely a top 3 receiver of all time. And guess where he's at? The Hall of Fame. And Edelman's passed Michael Irvin, who's in the Hall of Fame. So yeah, he's honestly, he kind of reminds me of Rajon Rondo. Like he was solid or sort of slightly above average in the regular season. Like didn't have the flashiest regular season in terms of stats, but then once it came to the playoffs, he would show up. Now, another thing, he was a key part of the Patriots dynasty, and Edelman, he's the Iron Man. He's a tough guy. Who'll do anything. Now, and then I just saw this little like 14-minute documentary / highlight thing on Edelman and on YouTube, and it said that, and he said that coming into high school he was still like 5'11". I mean, not 5'11", 4'11". I was like, sheesh. I was like 4'6", 4'8" in the like 5th grade, like fourth, 5th grade, and that man's going into high school like that. Sheesh. And they say he had a growth spurt, and that's another thing. I like his story, or I like his journey. He went from a small college prospect to, he was a QB, never mind the less, small college prospect to JUCO player to Kent State QB to didn't receive a combine invite and was, I believe he was like a 6th, 7th round pick. I thought he went undrafted, but he was like 6th, 7th. They said he was saying like the 200 something pick. And then yeah, Patriots took him, and he transitioned to a wide receiver. Started off as a return man, was a pretty good return man. Then he worked his way to like the slot / main receiver, and now he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and he even won Super Bowl MVP this year, like I said. So Edelman is quick too. He's a quick, shifty guy who he's a good route runner, and he exposed the Rams secondary. And he was a key part in the Patriots' 6th title, nevertheless, the entire dynasty. Or, like, the continued the dynasty. But Edelman, I think he could be a Hall of Famer. I'm not going to say no first ballot, because I honestly don't think he could be a first ballot. But, I mean, like, he's a good receiver. He could play slot or outside. He's got some speed. He's not like Tyreek fast. No, Tyreek, that's speed. That's like Flash on steroids. But Edelman, he's not the fastest guy, but he's got some speed, and he's kind of shifty. He can work in the open field. He's a good route runner. Like I said, he can find open spaces in the defense. And yeah, but honestly, excuse me, voice crack. But another thing is that I think Edelman wouldn't be as like successful or as known as he would have been if the Patriots didn't draft him. Like if Brady wasn't there, and because I think Brady made him look good, but Edelman has done some like, I'm trying to figure out this. It's like he made him look like he kind of helped kickstarted his career, like, you know, like he basically helped them kickstart his career, and then that's when he just like Edelman became this receiver like he's become. Yeah, so like I said, his career stats like for regular season aren't that great. Like he's only eclipsed 1,000 yards like twice, but postseason he's a completely different guy. He had like 151 yards against the Chargers, and then had like 140 something against the Rams in the Super Bowl. And in that boring Super Bowl, by the way. That's what I was going to do, a post Super Bowl review, but I was like, nah, that was just too boring. I still could have, but I just didn't feel like it. But, and back to Edelman. Another thing is that I know somebody mentioned like people like Joe Namath, how they weren't great in the regular season and they're in the Hall of Fame. So I looked at Joe Namath's stats, got him up here on Pro Football Reference. Now he's played how many years? He played a while in the NFL. So here are his stats. His rookie year, 2,220 yards and 18 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. Now, not the greatest. I mean, obviously, like, if it's his rookie year. But I mean, like, I don't know. Like, obviously, most rookie QBs aren't going to break out like that. But I mean, all right. So his career high and his season high in passing yards was if I'm right, 4,000. Yeah, was 4,007 yards, and his career high in touchdowns was the 26. Not bad. But then in that same year, he also had 28 interceptions, and which is also his tied. He threw 28 interceptions twice, but that's also his career high interceptions. His completion percentage. His high for completion percentage is 52.9%. Not bad, but yeah, like these stats, they don't blow you away. But in the playoffs, he was good. He got it done, won a Super Bowl, and now he's in the playoffs. I mean, not playoffs, Hall of Fame. Excuse me. He even won a season. He only threw 1,259 yards. I don't know if he played the entire season, because it doesn't. It's not saying if he played the entire season. Yeah, like it's not, or yeah, it did say 5 games. So yeah, but I mean, yeah, his lowest was 553 yards, but he was injured that year. But I mean, yeah, these stats don't blow you away, but he was in the playoffs and he got it done. So that's why I think Edelman could be a Hall of Famer. And honestly, I like Edelman. He's a great receiver, great returner. Or I won't say great, but I just think, like, I keep saying, like, all right, I believe more receivers, like more current receivers, have a better chance of getting the Hall of Fame than he. Like, I would put Julio in, definitely Antonio Brown, maybe I'd say DeAndre Hopkins at the rate he's playing, Odell, maybe AJ Green. I don't know. You still got people like Reggie White, Ocho Cinco. I would put all of them ahead of Edelman. I'm gonna be honest, but Edelman is a great receiver, and I think he could be. I believe he will be a Hall of Famer, and he might be overlooked again, but he's no stranger to that. So I believe when Edelman retires, one day he will be a Hall of Famer. Now that is it for this episode of Sports News with Kyle Alexander. And I know should have had these episodes out by now, but what I'm gonna try to do is, like, I was supposed to do this one yesterday, but what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to, if I can, I'm gonna try to upload them every day from now on. So tomorrow, my next episode will be NBA trade deadline winners and losers. Then after that, then Friday, I will upload my second mock draft, and this is going to be interesting, especially with I was still making changes even after, like, the Flacco trade happened, because I still had Denver taking Drew Lock. So I'm like, they could still, but I'm gonna just tell you guys, they're not taking Drew Lock anymore on mine. And then that Saturday, I will do my top NFL sleepers. So now I will go over 15 names that you should look out for in the NFL draft. That will do it for this episode of Sports News with Kyle Alexander. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will talk to you guys next time.